Howdy, 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 this is JL for another Weekly Shonen Nonsense for October 15th, 2023. The comics, they are to be read. One Piece, chapter 1095. And what a chapter it was. This is just peak One Piece here. Of course, we got the first half of the chapter where we're seeing Kizaru's down, but Saturn's still there, and Saturn is a monster. Just tanking a hit, like straight to the face, or the chest, I guess, where the beard would be, and going, yeah, I would have dodged it if I thought it was dangerous. Like, pulls Bonnie off, the wound heals immediately, people are like flying everywhere. He nearly kills Luffy, thankfully Frankie's there, but then we get into the actual meat of the chapter, which is Bartholomew Kuma's backstory. We're getting the Bartholomew Kuma flashback after all of these years. I've been waiting so long for this. And we're getting a whole bunch of stuff with it. One, the reveal of a new race, the Buccaneers. You know, Buccaneer being kind of a really old-fashioned term for just someone who holds a buckler. Whatever. But what's mostly interesting about it is that we're kind of getting information about who Kuma is. Like, why is Kuma so big and powerful? Oh, it's because he's this kind of race of people. And, of course, with that comes the slavery, where we see his young life being born into slavery, or well, born into a family who becomes slaves, and then, of course, gets broken down. His father gets killed, his mother dies off screen, and he gets sent to God Valley in order to be murdered by celestial dragons for blood sport. Oh yeah, did I mention we're going to God Valley? We're seeing like a young Garland, which is just insane. Seeing this like old, possibly Shank's dad character as a young man. Doesn't quite look like him, but it was just one panel. We may see more of it later. But, of course, the real shocker to me was seeing a young Ivankov. Showing that apparently Eva was born male. Okay. Trans icon that Eva is. Had to start somewhere, I guess. And, of course, we get another little character of Ginny, who I'm pretty certain is Bonnie's mother. Just taking a wild guess by the fact that, she's eating meat. Which, also, pulling back for a second, the whole Buccaneer thing, where we actually see, like, the fact that there is drops of blood can really influence a person's physical appearance, meaning that possibly with Bonnie's power earlier when she muscled up as like a dark form of her future, we see her taking on a Buccaneer's body type, meaning that there's a possibility that later on in the future she might look similar to Kuma in that big, beefy form of hers. Either way, this opens a bunch of doors, and it's also leading into a story that'll involve not just Eva and Garling, but also Gold Roger, Zebek, and Garp. I am here for this. This has been the thing I've been looking forward to ever since they mentioned it. So, we just need the Rocky Port incident. I think we'll be good for the rest of the series for flashbacks. 2 on Ice, Chapter 4. Comics are an interesting medium. You're not only having visual art, visual pictures indicating action and storytelling, but you also can use words alongside of that. And this is a poor example of what comics can do well. Now, the art is amazing in this. The way the characters move and flow, you can really feel the energy of how the characters are performing the figure dancing in the visual work. The problem is, it is just inundated with unnecessary and dramatic text to the point where it's just drowning out the actual visuals. Because what the storyteller's trying to do is they're trying to make a kind of dual narrative where the two characters are kind of going back and forth, not really understanding each other, but that trying to express their frustration with that. But instead of using the visuals to express that, they're instead trying to make sure you know that that's what they're doing. Like, that is the intention of the art, which is unfortunately causing it to be bogged down. This was a wordy chapter, especially considering it's just a recital. It's about showing off the figure skating, but we're not able to show that off because we're just too busy being bogged down with text. Now, granted, I get what they're trying to do with the dueling text here. We're getting the girl's perspective and the guy's perspective, the girl's perspective. We're seeing how their emotions are building up here, and like where the guy is like, I'm catching up, I'm about to get to her so we can finally be together, while she's going, oh, he's catching up and he'll pass me and he'll leave me because he's a guy and guys are better than girls, which is really weirdly misogynistic and kind of off-putting, to be honest. But then, of course, they finish, even though they do like fantastic things in there, including the attempt to do a double triple, which fails because they're so in sync that when she fails, so does he. It's interesting, though, that like at the end of the chapter leads into a discussion between them, finally, an actual discussion, where she's like, I need to reveal my past to you, so we're going to learn who this Takun guy was. It feels like the author is a little scared, a little afraid that you're not going to get the intention of the art with just the visuals, which is a fear. It's legitimate. Like, with art, comics specifically, it is a medium that melds both literary and visual arts together into something that can be viewed on a page, like an animated movie, but a lot less work intensive. The problem is that sometimes the art should speak for itself, allowed to breathe. A lot of chapters in manga in Shonen Jump have had wordless arcs or wordless chapters to kind of illustrate the emotion through the art, and that is a common storytelling trope with comics. But to see it here, it just feels like they're a little too afraid to let the figure skating speak for itself, because it looks good. The art's great. It just needs to maybe let it speak for itself. Kagurabachi, Chapter 5. Well, ain't she just cute? Alright, so this chapter, we have another split focus one here, where we have Shiba questioning the earlobe dude, or the earring dude, and Chihiro, going around with Char to McDonald's. And it's cute. We, of course, have Char just being adorable the entire time, asking for McDonald's and ice cream and milkshakes, and slowly revealing that she might have a pretty tragic past, dead mother and everything. And Chihiro's sort of sympathetic, driving her around everywhere. Meanwhile, we have Shiba torturing the cylinder head dude, as he's also called, in the most busted way possible, literally stepping on his foot until he puts it into the actual floor. Like, that guy doesn't have feet by the end of this. And through this information, we then get the reveal of the big villain we're having to deal with, who has Cloud Chaser. This then also leads to Chihiro getting attacked by the goons of this guy, who apparently Junji Ito themselves to attack. It's fairly unique, and that means the next chapter we're going to get more fights. So, hey, this comic's going on a good clip. We're going from, fight to rest to fight to rest to fight. So we're getting into this groove here of, how this is going to play out for the rest of the series. Maybe we'll get introduced to a new ally who's also going to be a swords fighter or something. We're not quite sure yet. We're really not building the hero's side much right now. We're just trying to keep this Char kid alive, and she's worth it. Mama Yuyu, Chapter 6. So Sasuke gets introduced and betrays everybody in the same chapter. This seems more efficient than Naruto. So, of course, we jump into another after-battle chapter, in Shonen Jump this week. And this time we're meeting a new character, I was going to say villain, but character of a Scaba, who's apparently joining Corleo and Alicia in their weird Team 7 dynamic here. Of course, so we show off that Escaba is sort of good. He seems like a good person because he saves them from, falling pipe work with his shadow magic. However, of course, the chapter ends where he is revealed standing over the twitching body of Alicia with a broken finger and blood on his face. And, of course, Corleo attacks him. That ends the chapter. Now, this might be a fake out. Like, he discovered her or fought something off, and Corleo misunderstood the situation and attacked him. And now we're going to get, the next chapter where the actual thing is revealed. Or he might actually be just an evil bastard. We don't know. It's still early on. And of course, he's a Sasuke here. He's the black-haired edgelord guy. Of course he's going to try to do something stupid and misread the situation or get the situation misread. There could also be the possibility that Alicia might be a bad person. She might have incited the entire event as well. He might have called her over too. She got there sooner and attacked him, and he defended himself and stood over her now twitching corpse. Again, it's fine. It's all right. Looking forward to what happens next, but I'm tepidly optimistic. Of course, the paneling has gotten a little less crazy than it did at the very beginning, which is expected. I don't think the pace is going to keep up with all those tiny panels that lead into bigger panels thing that he was doing early on. But hey, all right. Icehead Gill, Chapter 16. I have a suspicion we're running towards the finale here. So, of course, we have another post-battle story here, but now we're running towards a new big fight that's starting this chapter as well. Gil is piloting the ship, getting them out of the troll country, pushing the water around him to make the boat go, which doesn't help because he kind of sucks at it still. Meanwhile, we get a bit of a lore dump explaining why they were needing to save the heart tree in the first place. This is an endless winter. We haven't had spring here for so long, in fact, probably several years at this point. It's because this gate of hell being opened is causing an endless winter to flow out of it, killing everything here. The heart tree, of course, is keeping all plant life alive across the entire world. Of course, the size of the heart tree is actually an indication that it's not exactly doing well with all this endless winter and burning itself out pretty quickly. So we're looking at a possible famine here very soon. So, of course, our boys are off to go and destroy the gate of hell, thanks to Greatest and Slizz's swords kind of being magnets for each other. That leads them to the gates of hell directly, where we see our big bad guy is, doing bad guy things like killing people for not fearing him. And we get introduced to all the siblings of the king of, or the children of the king of hell, siblings for that one guy who died pretty early on. And we get big monsters coming out of the gate, giant snake coming and crashing in front of our hero's boat, when they're suddenly saved by two characters who are of groups that were sort of hinted at the beginning of the chapter and are showing up now, whose names I refuse to remember because, of course, this feels like it's rushing toward a finale. Like, we're getting introduced to these characters who are so really powerful and important, but they're also, here now. Like, we're hinting at them, and then they're here, as if it wasn't really planned to be this way. Like, we might have hinted at this late now, and they get introduced farther down the line. So we're sort of setting things up for a quick, dirty finale for this. It didn't get a color cover this week. Might not necessarily survive in the next weeks here. So tentatively, thumbs up. Still good, but it feels like it's about to fall down here. Martial Master Asumi, Chapter 17. Speaking of surviving, here is Martial Master Asumi with a nice color cover. So we're probably going to get a new volume here, and it's looking pretty promising, honestly, where we now have our boy Nito winning the second round with a good old choking session. Of course, while the win is impressive to us in the audience, Kazlo is here to remind us that this is kids' play, and you really shouldn't have done that poorly, Nito. Because yeah, he did go to 2 rounds with his second opponent, who is himself an amateur. He literally is not trained in any martial art, and basically put up a fight being an annoying git. So yeah, I get what Kazlo is saying. He really should have, Nita really should have broken the kid's arm, because there's really no good reason he shouldn't have gone for that blow. But of course, there's a method to this madness. Like, hey, collective working together to do better, Shonen Jump nonsense. It's pretty clear what they're going to aim for in the long term for this, making Nito the catalyst for other people's growth along with his own. Of course, that doesn't really shield the fact that, Kazlo is right, and we see Taiga putting that into practice, because he won his semi-final fight pretty easily by breaking the guy's leg, or twisting the ankle to a uncomfortable degree, which leads to the fight card being Nito versus Taiga at the end of this and possibly next chapter. Really good. I can't argue with a lot of the direction. The art's good. The paneling is nice and flows well. So overall, pretty neato. Nue's Exorcist, Chapter 22. Working our way up to a potential title drop, I see. Alright, so the chapter is basically a split focus one here, starting out with the captains of the elimination squads apparently deciding to get a new squad put together and make a captain for it, or elect a captain for it. Because now they know that Nue exists and is in the school somewhere, they're wanting to prevent her resurrection in order to stop the rest of the Hyo from resurrecting. And this information is also provided to Gakuro by Nue, explaining, yeah, that would be bad for me too, so as I'm the last one that's supposed to be revived, I need you all to make me the first to get revived so I can stop the other Hyo from being evil. And we trust her because, yeah, it kind of clearly linking up that she might be a major villain here soon. However, Gakuro is, of course, willing to fight for her because he's a good boy. And then we get the actual meat of why she was telling them this now, because she brings them in the room with the captains who had decided to meet in the school for some reason, and introduces Gakuro to them, telling them that she elects him to be the captain of this of the 6th Division. So, hey, she is making Gakuro her exorcist. Cough, cough, near title drop, but we're not there yet. Still good. It's still a harem series that hasn't really leaned into it for a while now. I mean, we get, one arc involving a girl, and we've kind of sat on that for a while, left it alone, building up the world a bit. So we're gonna come back to it eventually. Eventually. I have this feeling we will. Maybe. My Girlfriend Gives Me Goosebumps, Chapter 20.5. Do you want to go on the merry-go-round? Yeah, there's not much else to it. It's just a very funny little joke. So, nothing much else to say. Still fun, though. Looking forward to the next chapter. Kill Blue, Chapter 25. Thank goodness this cleared up quickly. So, we kind of jump immediately from the last chapter where we get a challenge. Ogami immediately ignores it and goes, no, you don't understand, Norin. I'm just not into you like that. Which almost works until Norin tries to kill herself. Turns out the hypnotist was a little bit too good and decided to not only make her fall in love with whoever she saw first, but also obsess over them. So rejection means death. So of course Ogami's like, no, we can't have this last days. It's only going to last minutes here. We need to end this quickly. So they go and meet up with the hypnotist and spend the day together, going on a date. Yeah, apparently the The meeting to date pipeline is a thing here. But of course, this ends up in the place all Japanese dates end up, the Ferris wheel, where of course Norin tries to get her Mac on, and Ogami wants none of it. And he of course does what Ogami always does, and pulls out a glorious gun maneuver with the pistol he was hiding, I don't know where. Of course, they get off the ride, Norin's too freaked out to think about making out anymore, and then gets dehypnotized. The chapter ends with Norin basically going, I'm not in love with you. I think of you as a friend, and Okami crying tears of joy. This is a good chapter. Cypher Academy, chapter 44. A color cover. And they survive the explosion. God, can't I have anything this week? Alright, so apparently they survived a giant explosion because, hey, look, the big bomb in the middle of the room isn't actually a bomb, it's a bomb-shaped bomb shelter. Who'da thunk it? Yeah, so they walk out somehow uninjured. Mind you, the bomb was on the floor horizontally and it ended up vertical. So, okay, how are they not injured? Because they only had 10 seconds. They couldn't have armed it, ran inside, buckled their safety belts on, clearly, safety harnesses there, and not have been jostled around badly by it, but whatever. They dive down the hole the bomb left, and they're going from basement B1 to B2, and they actually kind of go through all the other levels pretty quickly, revealing Iraha's backstory, where he apparently, after dancing around a bit, cheering on his friend's murder, he apparently was made to be a bomb maker. So instead of actually seeing him being tortured, we're instead seeing him sad making bombs. And of course he gets saved by his cheerleading senpai, who can apparently bend iron bars. Where's the explanation of that? No. Oh, we're just moving on? Cool. Thanks, series. So, of course, then this leads to them meeting up with the N girl, and I'm forgetting her name, on purpose, on B10. So they're kind of making the way down. So we then jump towards B200, where we see Tayotan versus the Top Hat girl playing a game, apparently, which is called Ceaseless Discharge. No, I'm not going to elaborate. Fuck this series. The Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins, Chapter 45. Well, this series continues to be very heavy. So, of course, we reveal that Dad's not here. Of course, he's the one controlling the dream from the outside. And turns out that, Dad is got some dad issues. Apparently, his father really didn't have much of an expectation of his son. Like, his son made a really pretty picture of a bird. It's good. It looks pretty damn good for a child making a picture. And he's like, good job, son. And then just kind of ignores him. But of course, then when Soda's born and growing up, his father is more interested in Soda's development as a doctor and wanting him to study, showing that, hey, he never actually had any expectations of his own child. And of course, the dad wants to be more of a father. He wants to be more involved in his kids. That's kind of why he's doing this. Like, he views the birth of Soda as a miracle. He is fascinated. He sheds tears of joy that he gets to be the father he like his own father, or even better than his own father. And over the course of time reveals that he really wasn't a good dad. And through the dream, he wishes to kind of do a do-over, make everybody forget everything, and then starts fresh and be the dad he's supposed to be, or the one he wants to be. And then at the end of the chapter, Mom wakes up and confronts him. This is, again, some heavy stuff here. Heavy subject matter, but damn is it not good. Damn is it if this is not an emotional roller coaster of bad vibes but told well. Akane Banashi, Chapter 82. Alright, concert's over. Drinks are on me tonight, boys. So we, finish up the actual performance of Cho here, showing off his like sunshine art of just being a ray of sunshine that he is. With of course everyone who left the show going, yeah, it was really good. It was short, but it was good, and tipping Cho like an immense amount of money, just ridiculous oodles of cash. So Cho, being a cool dude, basically just gathers everybody in the Rakugo group here and brings them to a restaurant and says, food's on me. I'm paying for everything. During this meal, of course, they have some conversations. Asa is asking Karashi to join him in a study event in order to bolster his promotion to Futatsume. And this then leads into Akane revealing to Cho why she's here, to become his apprentice. And Asa's like, wait, hold on. It's like, wasn't it to know more about your dad? At the beginning of the chapter, she had a conversation with Michael, who's like, don't pursue your dad's art. He took years to figure out what that is, and you're just emulating that. It might be better to pull back and do something else. So of course Akane is taking that advice right now and asks Cho to be her teacher. And then Karashi joins in going, I want you to be my teacher too. So Cho, being who he is, he's like, all right, we'll decide on who becomes my student through a game of craps. Just beautiful, wonderful gambling man that he is. And of course the chapter really ends with just two-page story involving Guriko going up to our dear old teacher and going, I'm going to Osaka. So our heroes are trying to become stronger by looking for new things and going on journeys. Good stuff. Pretty dense, honestly, with everything that it gives us as a chapter here. So again, Kanebanashi is up there. It is real good for what it presents. Blue Box, Chapter 121. More characters means more delicious complications. So this chapter is mostly a follow-up to the last one, where we're being reintroduced to the two new characters. Hyodo's little sister, who sort of seems to have the hots for Taiki. I mean, who could blame her? As well as Yusa, or the younger brother of Yusa. The arrogant younger brother of Yusa, who's actually much more of a focus in the chapter, to be honest. From his introduction, kind of walking through a window instead of through the door, getting berated by teachers, and then him being kind of shitty to his fellow badminton club members and being told off by Taiki. Him thinking Taiki's super strong, so thus, super strong means he was doing it all by himself, you don't need nobody else to be strong, typical, teenage angsty bullshit. But overall, clearly they're building things up to something new, especially in the middle of the chapter we, see the, now second years walking down the hallway and Hina going, I might have a fan club, ha 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 ha, which then also gets immediately cut into Yusa's reveal, possibly meaning that there might be a Hina-Yusa love triangle thing being developed, maybe. Especially considering, at the beginning of the chapter, the Hyodo sister kind of walks up to Taiki, thanks him for his advice, really loves to seem to talk to him. Something's building up here. But of course, the chapter ends with, Taiki and Chinatsu silliness, especially considering they're playing footsie and he's attempting to take her clothes off, shoe first. Lewd. Witch Watch, Chapter 129. Man, that has got to be one hell of a bush. Anyway, so, of course, the Twilight hits Ran, basically incapacitating him, so we have won. Victory hugs are given out by Nico, Ran is being interrogated and possibly set free, when, of course, Morihito, being wise, goes, okay, I gotta check this paper, make sure the prediction is done, and the image is still there, oh fuck. Meaning, out of the trees, we we see the new and possibly main villain of the series, Shikimi, walking out, thanking them all for doing such a wonderful job of being complete failures. So we have, of course, him being able to manipulate wood, magically, of course, and he's like, oh, good, you used the Twilight to defeat Rand. That's great. That actually works out perfectly. Yanks the bush out of Rand's arm and reveals that because the thing has been sucking up all of Rand's energy, it also sucked up his immortality. Now, Rand is completely mortal. He is no longer going to live forever and or age slowly, and now he has it. And Shikimi's like, yeah, this has been an overall success. I mean, yeah, so my guy's lost. Whatever. You're all worn out. I have the power of immortality now, and I'm still at full strength. So, hey! Of course, the boys all stance up, getting ready to fight. Like, wait, he can manipulate wood. Don't be near the trees. And Shikimi, being cold as hell, goes, cool, pulls out a gun and just fires point blank at Morihito, going, I don't need magic. I've got a gun. Just cold villain entrance, just beautifully done. And this arc is just not ending. Or at least I believe it should be ending soon. We're maybe getting, Nico getting fully kidnapped, or we might, see the rebuilding, like the next training arc here, getting ready to really finish off Shikimi, or we might get the end of the series kind of coming out of nowhere. But again, great. I love this villain reveal. I mean, what greater magic is there than the one referenced in Wizards? Sakamoto Days, Chapter 139. Ow, my gut hurts from laughing so much. Oh my god, this was great. So, yeah, Kamehate's faces was revealed. To Heisuke, not to us though, which just, oh my god, all the implications. Just the fact that Kamehate continues to just be the gun is insane. And they're just keeping that joke up to the point where, where Heisuke's like, why can't we can just be friends? And Kamehate's like, friends? And then just imagines them together, and all you see is fucking Heisuke's gun in place of Heisuke. Because that's the only way Kamehate understands anything. Which also just means the implications that, yeah, Kamehate's like, I can't ever reveal my face to everyone. Meaning that Kamehate went to those events, went into a museum, covered in a blanket, holding a gun out the entire time. It is, oh god, so funny. And of course, the chapter ends with something like, plot relevant, where we get, this JAA guy, Mudo, getting kidnapped by one of Slur's new bodyguards, or new assassins, really, Haruma, who we reveal is actually really good at sports, to a dangerous degree, where he then spikes a shot put, destroying a restaurant. Beautiful stuff. It's what we expect for the series. And of course, he ordered mineral water beforehand, because mineral water tastes great after a workout. But I mean, clearly, that restaurant was way too expensive. That mineral water was probably way overpriced. So if you ever want some good mineral water that, is within budget, you can only find that in Sakamoto Days. Undead Unluck, Chapter 179. Man, what a setup. So, of course, we start the chapter with Lotla, demanding to get her leg cut off, as well as Rip, in order to share the burden, essentially. Because, Rip is the kind of guy to bear all his worries on his own shoulders, not letting anybody else carry any of his burden. So Lotla steps in going, no, we're doing this together. You're not sacrificing yourself again. And this then leads to Fuko coming in going, okay, I'm about to bring Layla closer to Sick. The reason being is that apparently Sick is going to go to Layla anyway, because she is the most sick person in this hospital, and Sick also pulls illness out of people to power himself. So he was going to come here anyway, might as well bring her to the battlefield while, making sure that everyone survives. So of course they bring Layla there, and during which Fuko's going, all right, I'll do the surgery. Puts on the surgery gown. Literally a battlefield surgery going on. Thankfully, Gina's there to put up a barrier to stop Sick from attacking or getting to them. But of course, Sick is then distracted by Lotla and Rip, using their amazing three-legged race style fighting technique. Of course, Sick is smart and notices, well, they're using Unseen and Unmove in order to stop me and cause problems, so I'm going to make them not see me at all. So he cuts the power to the building, breaking down people's electronics and making electricity not work in the entire building, making the entire room dark. Unfortunately for him, he trusts his own senses too much, meaning that that is a perfect time for Latla to reveal her power untrust, meaning that they can't trust anything, including their own senses. So the attack misses, and even though the power is out, everybody in the hospital still has panic lights and flashlights. So they all shine it on Sick, allowing for Rip and Latla to do one cool moon somersault and bisect the motherfucker. Great setup to that. Perfect end of to the chapter here. Possibly end of the fight. I mean, unless Sick can come back from being cut in half. We still have the surgery going on, so it's probably not over yet. But hey, still really cool build up to a big moment like that. Good stuff. Really deserves that anime it's getting right now. My Hero Academia, Chapter 403. Oh man, what an emotional roller coaster this was. Color cover, of course, with, we get to see what Armored All Might's color design is going to look like. But then, of course, we jump to the actual meat of the chapter, where we see essentially All Might's last moments. He thinks about how he started, where he wanted to be a hero, just like Deku did when he was a boy, and his mother imbued that knowledge onto him, and apparently died off screen somewhere. Because granted, he's in his 50s, eventually going to happen anyway. But damn though, the desperate maneuver he pulled failed. As All For One's like, yeah, cool. I just stole Stain's quirk, right? It immediately licks the All Might's blood. All Might freezes solid, can't move anymore, and is completely helpless. Of course, people try to help him, like Star's air fighters try to dive in and stop the laser show. Of course, All For One bats them away with a single hand, destroying them entirely. Gentle tries to join the fight because UA is not falling anymore. But of course, immediately, All For One shoots a laser, causing the building to disrupt, making Gentle stay holding it. And it all looks bad. In fact, he's holding up All Might, just tearing him in half. All the while, Deku's looking on in utter horror. He's fighting Shigaraki. He's not able to take his focus away from him. So now his mentor is dying, right in front of his eyes, right in the eyes of the world. But just then, just as the world's hero is about to die, a shining light appears on top of UA. That shining light being a revived Bakugo, still covered in blood, but holding a picture of All Might. And then the two boys, the two heroes we've been following this entire time, look at each other. In their eyes, we know they know exactly what the other is thinking, and what they both need to do. This art is insanely phenomenal. My God, Horikoshi, when you take a break, you don't waste any of that time. Just the panels in this are insanely detailed. The emotion coming from each, water droplet coming from Deku's, tear-strained eyes. Bakugo's shaky look as he's looking down at his hand, as well as down at on Deku. It's Wonderful. Chef's kiss. Horikoshi is not taking a break next week, which, I mean, I feel like you should take another break. You need rest to make sure you can make even more of this art. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. And that's going to do it for this week. Wow. A lot of basically samey chapters, like, not really, like, making any big waves here this week. Some of them are, but most of them are just basically, like, building up for the next chapter here, because all the other build-up all led to My Hero just knocking it out of the park this week. So, good job, Horikoshi. Good job to everybody, except for the guy who makes Cypher Academy. It's still bad. So, anyway, hope you have a good rest of your week. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Hopefully next week's a bit more spoopy. It's Halloween season. It should be spoopier. I know Japan doesn't really celebrate, Halloween like we do, but, still. Bye!